and welcome to DM Online. In case you missed us last time, we started a project working on a new opening credits, closing credits and background music track for the DM Online videos. And we got as far as having laid down the vocals through a vocalizer so they're harmonized, and also laying down a bass track. So we've got an introductory couple of bars into the vocals. Today I'm going to play around with the drums and see what kind of effects can be gained from using the drummer. And if we get time, I'll have a look at the background music as well. The background music is reliant on the drums, so once the drum track is laid, I'll be able to overlay some appropriate bass tracks. That's the plan anyway. So let's see how we go. So here we are again in the GarageBand environment. I need to add my drummer, and I'm going to hit the plus sign and go to our automatic drummer that GarageBand had provided. Now, if you remember from the previous session, I'm aiming for a jazz feel, so I'm going to get this drummer to swing. And the way to do that is, the opening to me needs just the ride cymbal, something like a ting, ting, ting. So I can do that by just switching on the cymbals and switching off the other components. And with the swing, at this point in time, swing eighths seems to be the appropriate amount of swing. And I'm going to go quite extreme, but not 100% swing. And I'll go for some volume. And let's have a listen, see what that sounds like. I'm also noticing that the bass track from the previous session does not land immediately on the beat, so I do need to make sure I fix that, because if it's not on the beat, it's going to sound like it's out of time with the drums. So that now lands on beat 1. Everything else looks like it's kind of in time. Let's see if it actually lands the right time. Most of the beats, if you just look where the metronome lands, you'll see most beats are close. I can edit that further if I need to. Let's have a listen.
DM, developing musicianship online.
I'm finding the cymbals a little bit too simplistic, so I'm going to add in a bass drum and we'll see what it sounds like. This is the bass drum with complexity set at 5 on the kick and snare dial.
DM.
Okay, that's way too much. So I'm going to change the setting on the kick to halftime, which in essence should mean that it's playing half as much. It's probably going to be more appropriate. And again.
DM.
Okay, and I want the drums to do a little fill off the end. So here's the really cool thing about the automatic drummer. Depending on where you drag the box to, you'll notice the waveform changes its shape. And it's actually changing and programming in fills at the same time. So if I play that right now,
DM develop.
Okay, you get a fill. Now that's not a great fill. I'm going to spend a little bit of time off camera just playing around some more with this setting, and I'll get back to you when I get to something that I like. Hey, I'm back, and I've got our drum track looking pretty reasonable so far. So while I was gone off camera, I've managed to get this drum fill to snap on the last beat of the bass. Vocals come in, there's a little fill coming out of the vocals into time, and I've kept the time reasonably simple and soft because that's going to be where the background music loops are, so I don't want to do anything too crazy at that point. So this is what it sounds like.
DM. Developing musicianship online.
And a lot of it is the automatic drummer making decisions for me, but the way I drag the ends of the yellow lines into position will have an immediate effect on how the drum feels heard and the decision making process that the software goes through. So it's pretty intuitive software, and the results you can get from it are amazing. Now it's time for me to put in a little bit of walking bass for the background music. I'm going to get that set up, and I'll get straight into recording.
DM, developing musicianship online.
Okay, so I've got the bass line sorted, and it's just simply a matter now of taking the bass line and dropping it into the same amplifier I was using before that I set up. So this is a drag and drop process. You'll notice maybe a little bit of timing issue that can be from latency, which is where you're hearing it back at a slightly different time to where the recorder's recording, so it winds up being a little bit out of track. That's where in MIDI you would just use quantize to adjust that, but in using live recording you need to physically shift things when you've got latency problems. So I've shifted it by a minute amount, and now it should be sitting correctly to where the timing is. Also bear in mind I'm doing background music at this point, so I've tried to create a short section of music that can be repeated on a loop. The second loop I'm going to add a little bit of MIDI to the top of it just to create a bit of variation, but what I really want at the end of the day is a piece of music that can be cut in and out of to suit the length of the video. So that's why the looping element is really important in how the music is composed. So next time we get together, I'm going to go over the MIDI elements that I'm going to add to the track, and I'm going to expand out the loop so that it covers some longer period of time. And that should leave us just to finish off the piece with the concluding part of the jingle. See you soon. Bye bye.